For me, I think the biggest thing that football taught me was how to overcome adversity.
At some point in your life, you're going to have some tough times.
You have to have that next play mentality.
That cohesiveness and that working together, that's really something special that you can't get in a lot of other areas.
When you practice that and you live that in other phases of your life, it becomes second nature because all you know how to do is fight.
It's not an easy game. If it were easy, everyone would do it.
You start to appreciate the smaller contributions that people make. You don't just look at the big one because you knew it took 6 or 7 other guys who are unsung.
And you can't take shortcuts and be successful.
Doing what they do to make it possible for the guy getting the press clippings or whatever it might be.
In this game, whether it's as a coach or a player.
So I would certainly say that you definitely got a very quick lesson in how to overcome adversity playing football.
Welcome to FootballGamePlan.com, where football makes sense. I'm Emery Hunt, the czar of the playbook, bring you our preview of the 2016 Buffalo Wild Wings Citrus Bowl between the LSU Tigers and the Louisville Cardinals. Let's start this video off by taking a look at our keys to victory. Starting with LSU in this ball game, they can't get caught up in Lamar Jackson only. They can't forget about the running game of Louisville. And I know a lot of it has to do with Lamar Jackson, but when you look at Brandon Ratcliffe and what he can do running the football, if they get out of position worrying about Lamar Jackson, Ratcliffe can gash them on the ground. And those corners have to be able to win above the rim. Lamar Jackson will throw a lot of 50-50 balls to those outstanding receivers in James Quick and Jamari Staples. And if LSU's tremendous corners can't win above the rim, then they can struggle. But this is a matchup that you have to like LSU in that capacity and just play your game offensively. Avoid the temptation of trying to match what Louisville does from a stylistic perspective and get out there and play LSU football, which is a lot of times just lining up and running downhill, running inside zone, outside zone, power plays with Darius Grice and company, and then throwing the football deep down the field, taking your shots downfield with your outstanding athletic wide receivers. But don't try to play Louisville's game, just play LSU's game, and I think that could help them out in being successful. And for Louisville in this ball game, I think they can have an aggressive mentality defensively. They can play up close to the line of scrimmage versus those wide receivers and that passing game of LSU, which puts them in better position of being able to stop the run. If they can make this a Lamar Jackson versus Danny Etling ball game, that favors Louisville. And also offensively, I would make it a track meet, up tempo, no huddle, push the pace. Those things, I think they can keep LSU off balance. Their aggressive defense won't be able to substitute, and they'll be able to be out there longer than they want to and not make the proper adjustments. So make it a track meet if you're Louisville, and they can have some success. And no cheap points. I do think Louisville has a solid special teams unit. They're playing one of the better special teams units in college football in LSU. And they can't give up any cheap points, whether it's kickoff returns, punt returns, or give up field position because of poor coverage. They have to play solid in all three facets of the game to knock off the Tigers. The biggest X factor for LSU in this ball game will be the play of their linebacking core. You look at outside linebacker Arden Key and his ability to maintain leverage and contain versus Lamar Jackson. Inside linebacker Duke Riley being able to not over pursue versus the running back Brandon Ratcliffe or even Lamar Jackson. So how well they're doing at the second level, in my opinion, ultimately determines how well they're doing defensively. If they can keep these two guys within that tackle-to-tackle box and force them to play downhill and force Lamar Jackson to make plays consistently from within the pocket, I think it bodes well for their chances. And for Louisville in this ball game, it's about ball security. That falls directly on the shoulders of Lamar Jackson, not putting the football in harm's way as far as interceptions or fumbles are concerned. He has to protect the football. If he gives this offense of LSU more chances to run the football and shrink this ball game by taking time off the clock, then they'll lose this contest versus the Tigers. Here's a look at some of the 2017 NFL draft prospects that you want to keep an eye on. Obviously, Leonard Fournette won't be playing in this ball game, but that doesn't mean you can't take a look at Traven Durrell, the wide receiver at 6'2", 203, Tre'Davious White, an outstanding corner and returnman for LSU. And we know Louisville has a ton of talent. I'm a big fan of their two wide receivers in James Quick and Jamari Staples. So again, this is a big time matchup for them from a prospect standpoint. I know a lot of NFL scouts will be definitely interested to seeing how these guys produce. I like Louisville in this ball game. I think what's being underrated for the Cardinals is how well they are defensively. I think their defense will do a solid job against LSU more often than not, and more often than what people think they will. They'll put the ball back in the hands of Lamar Jackson, and we know what they can do offensively. I think you'll see their ground game be the reason why they knock off the Tigers.